What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. We've got some combine stuff to talk about, but it was a weird day combine wise. So this is going to be a little bit more disjointed and a little bit more abstract than the previous combine analysis videos. So just hang with me here while we get through this. Obviously, they were talking about positional groups that weren't the most interesting to Seahawks fans, but I did notice some things that I think are interesting to us. Now, real quick, before I get into the combine stuff, want to say real quick that tonight at 6, me and the Hawks Nest are going to be streaming. So about 2 hours from the upload of this video, we're going to go ahead and go live talking about defensive free agents. We'll probably talk a little bit about Geno, a little bit about the combine, a little bit about the coaches. You guys know what's up. So we haven't streamed in a week and a half. I think it's been like 10, 11 days. So some stuff has happened and it's worth going into. So today was at the combine, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. So the way I see it, running back is mostly not interesting to us. Wide receiver is mostly not interesting to us. Quarterback might be interesting to us. Unfortunately, the quarterbacks basically didn't test. If you go to the NFL.com combine page, you go to the quarterbacks, literally 4 quarterbacks ran the 40-yard dash. Literally 4 of them, and only one of them did anything of positive note in Slovis. And then you had Rattler, who kind of came in like like what's up with that? What's going on here, right? So you only get 4 of those. You only get the same number of 10-yard splits because the 10-yard split is derived from the 40-yard dash. You did get a little bit more in the vertical group, but still only 5 guys. And the broad jump, I think we had, the same number. It was 5. So the quarterbacks are not doing the measurable tests. They are doing stuff on the field in terms of like throwing exercises. But in terms of the measurable numbers, we're just going to have to wait for pro days because nobody wanted to go. In fact, earlier today, there was a point in time where everyone thought there was going to be one quarterback 40 time, Sam Hartman. And then later, a few more guys showed up. So, yeah, the quarterbacks did not really test. Now, we did get to see them throw. Joe Milton has an absolute cannon. He looked awesome out there. J.J. McCarthy looked good out there as well when he was throwing. He's somebody who's probably boosted his stock above where the Seahawks are currently going to be able to get him. So, that's going on, I guess. And really, the only thing that we got from the quarterbacks in terms of like concrete stuff is the measurables. Like, for instance, J.J. McCarthy has baby hands. That's got to be a little bit of a turnoff for some of these teams that play in outdoor stadiums. So that's something that I'm going to go deep into when my draft video series starts in a couple weeks here. Actually, I think it starts later next week in all likelihood. But for the most part, we just didn't get a lot from these quarterbacks. They just went out there to throw, and some of them looked good. Don't get me wrong. I was impressed with Joe Milton. I was impressed with J.J. McCarthy. Some of them, measured up. Drake May, pretty decent size. Bo Nix, pretty decent size, hitting the measurable markers that he needed to hit. So some good stuff for sure. Some exciting things, but the combine just feels kind of dead for these quarterbacks. They don't want to do this stuff. So most of my focus ended up going to the running backs and wide receivers, which is tough because the guys who are really good, the guys who are really interesting, are going to go much earlier than we're going to be willing to take a running back or wide receiver, barring a surprising roster shift up. So there are 2 guys I want to go over at each position here. Running back, wide receiver. First, running back. This is the one guy who stood out to me positively that I thought mattered. He ran the fastest 40 time at this combine. It was Isaac Guerendo of Louisville. Phenomenal athlete for his size. This guy's a freak. 221 pounds, so he's heavier at the combine than Zach Charbonnet was. And yet he runs a 4.43 40. Not great acceleration, just okay average acceleration, 155. So we don't love that, but the explosiveness is great. 41.5-inch vert is one of the best you'll find for a running back. 10-foot 9-inch broad is really good. It's not quite elite, but it's very, very good. So he's got a lot of positive physical traits here. And as of right now, and this may change after this combine, he's projected to be an undrafted free agent. Now, this combine probably means he gets drafted, but he gets drafted maybe in the range where the Seahawks might actually say, yeah, we'll take a running back. We'll take a running back in the 7th round, the 6th round. And maybe this guy ascends way further than that. That's certainly possible. This draft gets very shallow after the first 130 players, I feel like. But Isaac Guerendo had a great combine, and he's a guy that I would circle as a Seahawks fan, knowing that if we take a running back, we're looking for a guy to basically be a 4th stringer. And Guerendo's production at Louisville was just not good. So he may not be a very high pick still, even though he's A plus 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 athlete. Okay, so the other running back I want to look at, unfortunately, we kind of have to look at through a negative lens because he did not do good. But I feel like I need to talk about him a little bit because there's going to be a lot of talk about how this guy might fit into this offense because of the need and also because of our offensive coordinator. It's Dillon Johnson, and Dillon Johnson had himself a rough day. Now, I don't know if any of this is surprising, but Dillon Johnson had one of the slowest 40 times of any running back at a 4.68, very slow, Chris Carson type speed. 1.62 10-yard split, so he's got no acceleration. And his explosiveness is basically non-existent. 31.5-inch vert, 9'9" broad. It's not shocking, but the guy just doesn't have athleticism on the level of what you want in the NFL. Just very, very lackluster here in the testing numbers. And here's the thing, he's only 217 pounds. It would be one thing if he was like 250 pounds and he was one of those hammers. That might be okay. But 217 pounds, he's lighter than Guerendo, who ran a 4.33. And only 6 feet tall, only 30-inch arms. Like, he's not even that big. So I know there would have been a lot of interest around Dillon Johnson as a late-round pick or maybe even a UDFA. But at this point, it better only be as a UDFA because there's a lot of reason to believe this guy isn't going to be able to cut it in the NFL because he just doesn't have the attributes. He doesn't have the size to make up for this lack of speed and explosiveness. So, not a good combine for Dillon Johnson. Had to call that one out because I know there's going to be a lot of interest here to bring him in as like a power back. Because we still could use a little bit of help at power back, right? Charbonnet, I know he could be a pretty good power back, but that's not even really his game. He's a third down back. He's a great pass catcher and blocker more than he is a power back. Dillon Johnson might have been like looked at as like a power back, a true power back you give the ball to on the 1 yard line or whatever. But Dillon Johnson, not so much based on these results to me. All right, so that's the running back stuff for me. That's the stuff that stood out. There was some great stuff with the wide receivers, but a lot of it is not really for us because most of these guys are going to go very high in the draft. Like, just as an example, Xavier Worthy ran a 4.22. That is John Ross territory. Dude flew. The dude flew like few players in Combine history have ever flown, but he's going to be a first-round pick. A.D. Mitchell also had a great 40 time and combined that with great measurables all around, explosiveness, everything, man. But he's another first-round pick. And unless we move Lockett and decide we really want to go all in on the offense in a way that even I don't know if I would support, we're not getting those guys. We're not getting most of these guys near the top of the draft. So there are a couple of things that I do want to pinpoint here. Two guys actually, that you could get late in the draft or maybe even in UDFA who I thought stood out positively today. So I'll go ahead and talk about them for a little bit, but understand that even our depth is good at receiver, right? You got Jake Bobo at number 4. You've got Derek Young at number 5. We don't even really need receiver depth that badly, unless you really think Lockett's about to completely turn into a pumpkin. And even then, it's not so bad. Regardless, Anthony Gold of Oregon State, I thought he had a nice game, very, very athletic. Now, he's a smaller guy, 5'8", 174 pounds. So that's some D. Eskridge type size. That's some Tutu Atwell type size. 39 and 5/8 inch arms, so short arms, small hands, not even 9-inch hands. But he makes up for it with his physical abilities. 4.39 40, very fast. 1.49 10-yard split, accelerates pretty much immediately. He's got some of the best acceleration in this draft. 39.5-inch vertical jump, 10'9" broad jump. The dude can jump. The dude has explosiveness. So this could be a guy like a Tank Dell from last year, right? You can see this guy maybe being like Tank Dell was for the Texans. He's got some stuff to overcome, but his speed and his explosiveness is going to make him a tough cover. So Liked what I saw from Anthony Gold. He would be one of the two receivers that stood out to me that I think the Seahawks might actually be able to target. The second guy, a currently projected late round pick, maybe even a UDFA, Bub Means. And Bub Means tested very well for a guy his size. Pittsburgh Panther, I think. Yeah, Pittsburgh Panther. 6'1", so nice and tall. 212 pounds, so he's got size. He's big. Size is not a concern for Bub Means at all. 33.25-inch arms. Dude has very long arms, so size is not a concern. And the dude had a nice combine. 4.4340. Nice and fast. Not elite, but good. Solid. Effective. 1.55 10-yard split's about average. It's not the best for a receiver. Acceleration, we'll call that average. But he's big, so it's understandable. That's why he's not a first-round pick. Vertical jump, 39.5 inches. So very explosive on his vert. Knows how to get up. He's definitely going to be able to do things with that kind of vertical jump in the NFL. The broad jump was more average, 10 foot 2 inches, but still workable. So Bub Means, I think, had himself a really nice combine. The measurables combined with the testing numbers are going to do good for him. But you still might be able to get him day 3, and that might be an area where the Seahawks go, you know what, let's just get pure BPA. Even if we end up taking a receiver we never need, he's going to be better than a guy who we never use because he's just bad. Okay, so those are the things that stood out to me. I'd like to say more about the quarterbacks, but really I recommend people go and watch their throwing routines because we didn't get enough testing numbers to really dive into at all. Like, literally what I did at the start of this video was everything. We're going to get bench press numbers, I guess. Do we really care how much a quarterback can bench press? Do we really care that much about a quarterback 3-cone? I don't know. I don't think so. So let me know what you guys think about this crew. Let me know if you guys saw something else, something that I didn't see. I'll see you guys later on stream in about 2 hours with the Hawks Nest. Go Hawks. One more day of Combine action coming up.